Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole was the center of an article that Anthony Slater wrote for The Athletic earlier in the week. He wrote that Poole is not being actively shopped. There is no edict to cut salary, and his side has been given no current indication that his future will be elsewhere. But Slater also said that doesn't mean that Poole is safe, because really the only person who is safe on this roster is Steph Curry, and everyone else is, sort of in flux. But, we had been thinking about, what do you do with Jordan, and could you move Jordan, and what kind of player could you get for Jordan? And, especially as this draft is coming up, Jordan's an attractive piece for maybe a team who doesn't want to draft someone who's 19 years old. Instead, they want to draft a guy who's 22 years old. So what did you think about that piece? And why do you think that information is sort of out there right now?
I don't know, because like I honestly might tell you that I think Jordan Poole is more likely to get shipped than Kuminga, simply because of how much you have to pay him per year, and because of the punch, and because he's better as a starter, but the person who he needs to replace doesn't want to be replaced. Like, all these factors, like, I just feel like if there's a player that I'd bet on to be gone this offseason, it's not Draymond, it's not Jonathan Kuminga. I would bet on Jordan Poole. So to see that article come out, and like, I don't know if like the timing is totally that important, because we've seen so many things since the offseason started. Like, already it feels 2 days in, and it's like so many players' names are being talked in discussions and quotation marks, but geez. But yeah, because we talked about it, and I'm like, I just don't buy it. But at the same time, we don't want to believe that Slater is like, this kind of front office microphone or megaphone.
Yeah, and it is, Slater's really smart. He's really savvy. He knows he could sense something. I don't think the Warriors themselves would really want to try and use him as a PR person, knowing how savvy he is. So I don't buy that part. But what I wonder is, if Slater, if the timing of it is because Slater's out there saying, okay, here's what the situation is now. And then if that changes, he could always update the piece and go, well, that's what was told, or that's how it was going. Now it is shifted. Now it has changed. Because you could always pivot if that's what you're hearing.
That's such a large pivot, though, don't you think? Like, it's not like I came away from that article thinking, and honestly, I read it like a week ago or whenever it came out. I'm trying to kind of remember, but it did give off the vibe that Jordan Poole was staying, even though, he might have said explicitly, like, this doesn't guarantee his safety.
Yeah.
But it did feel like all signs are pointing towards they've resolved something. But, all those things I list to you, it just seems like you can't bring him back at the same time. So, if you go from Jordan Poole's, like, the verbiage or the wording makes it sound like Jordan Poole's safe, and then the next piece you put out is just pivoting and literally rewriting everything you said, it's kind of a large pivot.
But also plans can change. Like, with the
isn't it their job to predict that, or like to keep us informed and maybe even ahead of that stuff?
Yeah, but you remember when Marcus Thompson was on with Kawakami? I don't know. Did you actually hear that podcast?
Yeah, with the A's thing.
So Marcus Thompson, they were talking about how Bob Myers dealt with them, and how they could tell when Bob Myers was frustrated with them, and how he would disagree with what they wrote. So it's not like, it's not like you can, it's not like they're writing stuff directly that the Warriors are just gonna like they're saying things that maybe aren't the greatest. And so then, if that is kind of the case, and that is how Jordan Poole's camp feels, because obviously Slater has a source with Jordan Poole who is saying that, yeah, like, as far as we know, nothing has been stated. Then the Warriors see that and they go, oh, well, we do have to change that because there are things going on. And so the story can change in that way as well. But I'm with you. I think Slater is probably on top of it because he's just really good at his job. And he probably does have a good sense of what both camps are feeling. But, you do put that caveat in there that says, things can always change, or he can always, no one is safe and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I guess, would you be more surprised if Poole was not on this roster next year, or Kuminga not on this roster next year?
I'd probably go with Kuminga, and I feel like the majority would probably. No, sorry, I would go with Poole not being on this roster, and I feel like the majority would lean Kuminga because it makes more sense. The guy who doesn't make as much money, maybe still on a rookie contract. It's probably an easier contract to trade. But yeah, I just think there's so many external factors